From the moment humans first gazed at the night sky, we've yearned for a single principle that binds every flicker of starlight, every atom in our bodies, and every quark in the heart of a proton. This pursuit, finding a theory of everything, has driven centuries of breakthroughs, dead ends, and bold speculation. In 1687, Isaac Newton took the bold step of treating an apple's fall and the moon's orbit as manifestations of one law. His 3 laws of motion plus universal gravitation transformed 2 realms, celestial mechanics and terrestrial physics, into chapters of the same book. Suddenly, the cosmos and the commonplace danced to identical rules, yet electricity and magnetism still lay beyond his grasp. 2 centuries later, Michael Faraday's experiments sketched lines of magnetic force, and James Clerk Maxwell distilled them into 4 elegant equations. These revealed that electric fields and magnetic fields are inseparable, and that light itself is an electromagnetic wave, with electricity, magnetism, and optics fused into one framework. The dream of unified physics gained fresh momentum. However, the early 20th century introduced 2 seismic shifts. Albert Einstein's theories of special and general relativity merged space and time into a dynamic, curved fabric, redefining gravity not as a force but as a manifestation of geometry. Simultaneously, pioneers like Max Planck, Niels Bohr, and Erwin Schrödinger showed that at the tiniest scales, particles behave like waves, and probabilities replace certainties. This dual revolution revealed a profound schism. While general relativity portrays the cosmos through smooth, continuous curves, quantum mechanics insists on a universe filled with jitter and chance. By the 1970s, Sheldon Glashow, Abdus Salam, and Steven Weinberg had shown that electromagnetism and the weak nuclear force are 2 aspects of the same electro-weak interaction. This breakthrough, along with Murray Gell-Mann's quark model and the discovery of the Higgs boson, gave us the Standard Model, a remarkably precise tapestry weaving together 3 of nature's 4 forces. But gravity still stood aloof, immune to quantization and unyielding to integration. Today, the quest for a theory of everything is embodied in competing frameworks. String theory proposes that every particle is a tiny, vibrating string, whose various modes correspond to different forces and forms of matter. To be mathematically consistent, this theory necessitates extra dimensions, hidden away from ordinary perception. Loop quantum gravity, on the other hand, takes a more geometric approach by breaking space down into discrete loops, attempting to quantize space itself without resorting to additional dimensions. A bona fide theory of everything would unify the 4 fundamental forces, gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear interactions, into a single coherent set of equations, explain phenomena from elementary particles to galaxies, and resolve the persistent disparity between general relativity and quantum mechanics. Yet even this sweeping framework would have its limits. It would describe the mechanics of nature and potentially predict phenomena like supersymmetric partners of quantum gravity signatures. But it will leave untouched those deeper questions. Why do fundamental constants have the values observed? What set the initial conditions of the Big Bang? How do complex phenomena like life, consciousness, and culture emerge? And what of the questions regarding moral values, aesthetics, and the ultimate purpose of existence? Science, for all its clarity in describing the how of nature, has not and perhaps cannot answer the why. Throughout the corridors of time, human beings have felt a deep stirring, a call to seek something beyond the mere arrangement of things, beyond the laws of nature and the ticking of clocks. This elusive higher truth has often been portrayed as an ineffable realm of meaning and eternal insight, something accessible only to those brave enough to question the visible world. In ancient Athens, the philosopher Socrates emerged as a daring seeker of higher truth. He challenged the citizens to question their preconceived notion of virtue, justice, and the good life. His method, probing inquiry and relentless dialogue, was less a pursuit of worldly facts and more an invitation to peel away the layers of everyday appearances. In Socrates' eyes, truth was not just a set of observable phenomena, but an inner light, a spark of understanding that could guide one towards a more authentic existence. While his contemporaries clung to the stability of tradition, his unquenchable curiosity laid the groundwork for later thinkers who would view truth as an ascent from the dark cave of ignorance to the luminous world of ideas. Half a world away, on the banks of the sacred rivers of the Indian subcontinent, another profound quest was unfolding. Long before the foundations of Western philosophy had been set in stone, sage after sage delved into the mystery of existence. In the ancient Upanishads, truth was portrayed not merely as an accumulation of facts, but as Brahman, the infinite, all-pervading substrate of reality. Similarly, under the Bodhi tree, Siddhartha Gautaman, tired of the impermanence and suffering he perceived in everyday life, meditated until, in a moment of transcendent insight, he recognized the interconnectedness of all things. For him and his followers, higher truth was found in the direct experience of liberation, an awakening that dissolved the boundaries between self and the cosmos. As centuries turned, the quest for higher truth continued to weave through the human story. In the medieval Islamic world, Sufi mystics roamed the deserts in search of an intimate, experiential connection with the divine. Their whirling dances, impassioned poetry, and heartfelt prayers were expressions of an inner search to catch fleeting whispers of a truth that could not be captured by rigid dogma. In the courts of Andalusia, where Christians, Muslims, and Jews mingled, mystical traditions converged, each offering its own insight into the nature of the transcendent. This period was a time of synthesis, of recognizing that though languages differ, the yearning for a higher, unifying truth persists as a common thread through the tapestry of human culture. The Enlightenment of the modern era brought with it a new narrative. Philosophers such as Immanuel Kant and later existentialists like Soren Kierkegaard and Jean-Paul Sartre wrestled with the implications of a fragmented modern world. While science rendered the universe through equations and models, these thinkers reminded us that factual knowledge alone could not answer the deeper why question of human life. In art and literature, too, higher truth began to be seen not as a static set of ideals, but as a dynamic, ever-shifting interplay between the seen and unseen, the rational and the mystical. Even as modern physics delves into the intricacies of space, time, and the multiverse, it coexists with a countercurrent of spiritual inquiry that seeks meaning beyond raw data. Beyond the physical details of cause and effect, higher truth invites us to explore the why of our lives, can guide us toward a deeper appreciation of beauty, inspire us to pursue inner growth, and bolster our sense of connection with something larger than ourselves. These insights enrich our personal journeys, furnishing us with a moral compass that informs our decisions and relationships. It illuminates how our individual experiences, emotions, and intuitions interweave into a broader tapestry of life. In this sense, higher truth helps us see the thread of meaning in everyday events, fostering a reflective awareness, a recognition that mundane and the sacred often coexist. This perspective can lead to a feeling of awe and interconnectedness, encouraging an enriched understanding of our place in the cosmos. Despite its profound impact on the inner life, higher truth does not claim authority over every realm of knowledge or experience, because it is not designed to yield measurable predictions or to unravel the physical mechanisms that govern the material world. Unlike science, which relies on observable facts and repeatable experiments, the insights of higher truth are subjective and inner-directed. They are difficult, if not impossible, to verify through external criteria. Thus, while it stokes the flame of personal meaning, it cannot supply detailed explanation of natural phenomena. Mary's Room, proposed by philosopher Frank Jackson, presents a thought experiment about a scientist named Mary who knows every physical fact about color vision, while living in a black and white room. When she steps out and experiences color for the first time, a new subjective quality, what philosophers call qualia, suddenly becomes apparent. This experiment tells us something profound. Even if Mary had access to all the objective physical details, as a would-be theory of everything would provide, she would still have missed the essence of what it feels like to experience color. In other words, there is an experiential quality that eludes complete description by physical facts alone. This gap underscores a core limitation. A theory of everything might capture all the measurable aspects of reality, yet fail to include the inner, qualitative experience, the domain of higher truth. Mary's room is a striking demonstration that understanding the universe purely through physics does not necessarily equate to understanding the experience of being. The subjective sensation, the awe of seeing a vibrant red sunset, or the deep resonance of beauty, belongs to the realm of higher truth. The insights of higher truth invites us to acknowledge that there is something more than empirical data, the inner life of consciousness and the qualitative texture of existence. Cosmic consciousness, as described by Buck in his 1901 work, Cosmic Consciousness, A Study in the Evolution of the Human Mind, posits that humanity can evolve from a state of ordinary self-awareness into one marked by transcendent perception of the universe. A state in which the boundaries between the individual and the cosmos dissolve. The state resembles what many call higher truth, the inner knowing that surpasses material analysis and taps into the fundamental unity and meaning underlying existence. All rational and empirical modes of understanding do not capture the totality of reality. Ordinary consciousness tends to be bound by dualities and the constraints of linear thinking. In contrast, cosmic consciousness reveals an integrated experience where the self merges with the whole, which is a core idea of the higher truth, that beneath the surface phenomena lies interconnectedness, underlying reality accessible through deep inner insight. Let's consider some thinkers along with specific evidences, through quotes and description of their writings and documented experiences, that suggest they reached an elevated state of consciousness, often interpreted as a form of higher or cosmic consciousness. William Blake. Blake's art and poetry are filled with visionary language that transcends conventional perception. His own description of inner visions and ecstatic revelations serve as evidence that he experienced realities beyond the ordinary. In writings such as The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, Blake famously asserts, "If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite." This assertion suggests that he had first-hand experience of an unmediated, all-encompassing truth. Also, we can notice symbolic expressions in his poem, Auguries of Innocence, with lines like, "To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour." Blake's own engravings and illuminated books record images of angels, demons, and cosmic battles. He claimed that these were not fantasies but personal visions experienced in states of heightened awareness. Walt Whitman. Whitman's work in Leaves of Grass expressed a radical dissolution of personal boundaries, a blending of self with the universal, a hallmark of what many call higher or cosmic consciousness, expansive self-identification. In Song of Myself, Whitman proclaims, "I contain multitudes." This suggests that he experienced himself as more than an isolated individuality, but as an integral factor in an interconnected universe. Whitman invites the reader to loaf, and let the soul lean and loaf at my ease, implying an experiential state of non-doing where one directly senses the cosmic whole. Eyewitnesses and contemporaries noted his peculiar brightness and elation, indicating that even in everyday settings, he radiated the inner light of an awakened consciousness. Ibn Arabi, a towering figure in Sufi mysticism, Ibn Arabi wrote extensively about the unity of being and the transformative experience of the divine. In Fusus al-Hikam, the bezels of wisdom, and his poetic utterances, Ibn Arabi uses language that dissolves the barrier between self and the absolute. He famously stated, "I am love, and every breath I draw is a breath of the divine." This reflects a state where the individual self merges with the cosmic essence. He frequently described the universe as a shadow of God's essence, for example, comparing the world to a shadow that reveals the true light, suggesting a direct experiential transformation in which he perceived all existence as an extension of the divine. Meister Urquhart, a medieval mystic known for his profound sermons, Meister Urquhart taught of a direct, inner union with God, an experience he considered attainable by turning inward. One of his striking claims is, "The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one." This reflects an experiential oneness where the subject-object duality is obliterated. In his sermons, Urquhart often describes moments when the soul transcends all attachment and emerges in a state of pure receptivity to the divine, a state he characterized as the ground of the soul, in which the self is refashioned into absolute unity with God. Rumi, the great Persian mystic and poet, is celebrated for his ecstatic expressions of divine love and the transformative journey from individuality to union with the infinite. Rumi famously wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." This vivid metaphor illustrates the dissolution of separateness and his personal insight into an all-pervading nature of existence. In another celebrated verse, he urges, "Exchange your cleverness for bewilderment." This invitation emphasizes the surrender of the ego's rationality in favor of a state of awe and wonder, a common rendezvous point with higher consciousness. His extensive poetic oeuvre recounts visions, ecstatic raptures, and the transformative pain of longing for the divine, all of which attest to his lived experience of an expansive, higher state of consciousness. Each of these figures not only wrote about or demonstrated through their art and teachings what many interpret as higher consciousness, but also provide a vivid, personal testimonies of their inner states, a clear record of experiences that went far beyond ordinary human awareness. These glimpses into the transcendent, sourced directly from their works and recorded experiences, offer compelling evidence of their attainment of states that modern readers often equate with cosmic or higher consciousness. After traversing the vast landscapes of scientific inquiry and mystical experience, we stand at a crossroad. On one path lies the disciplined pursuit of a theory of everything, a journey of reason, experimentation, and elegant mathematics that seeks to map the intricate mechanisms of the universe, from the tiniest particles to the curvatures of space-time. This road promises precision and clarity, inviting us to decipher nature's grand design with beauty and order. On the other path, the pursuit of higher truth calls us inward. It is the realm of the mystics, poets, and those who venture into the depths of their own souls. This journey does not aim to quantify or predict, but to embrace the ineffable, revealing inner meaning, purpose, and profound sense of interconnectedness that transcends the measurable. Here, every moment of wonder, every experience of color and emotion resonates with transformative power. Perhaps the most enriching path is not to choose one road over the other, but to allow them to converge. A life well lived might embrace both the clarity of scientific discovery and the luminous mystery of higher truth, a synthesis that enables us not only to know how the universe functions, but also to understand why it inspires the human spirit. In balancing the objective with the subjective, the measurable with the mystical, we come closer to appreciating the full spectrum of existence.